The Adjutant General's Hall of Fame induction ceremony. We are so grateful you've taken time to make this ceremony a truly special event. I'm Chief Warrant Officer 5, Dave Ratliff, a member of the Hall of Fame class of 2012, and I'm honored to serve as your Master of Ceremonies this morning. Everyone, please stand for the invocation by Chaplain Whitehead and remain standing for the singing of our national anthem. Our vocalist is Sergeant Danny Williams from the 282nd Army Band.
Would you bow your heads in prayer with me? Father in heaven, from whom we long to hear, "Well done, thou good and faithful steward," look upon these gathered here today with thy favor. We celebrate their life's work in the Adjutant General's Corps. They have labored for a lifetime in this vineyard and proven themselves worthy of recognition for the excellence of their work. That excellence is measured in strong and ready formations, missions accomplished, careers advanced, soldiers and families provided for, morale and esprit de corps high, lives blessed. We celebrate their labors now with prayers that every good deed that they have done for their fellow soldiers and for their families might also be rendered as a service unto thee, from whom every good, every victory, and all joy comes. Amen.
Amen.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated, and a round of applause for Sergeant Williams. He's leaving us because he has another engagement to get to. The life of an Army bandsman. I would like to take this opportunity to recognize the official party. Seated on the stage, Colonel Chesley Thigpen, Chief of the Adjutant General's Corps and Commandant, Adjutant General's School. Chief Warrant Officer 5, Chad Bowen, Chief Warrant Officer of the Adjutant General's Corps and the Adjutant General's School. And Command Sergeant Major Jasmine Young, Regimental Command Sergeant Major of the Adjutant General's Corps and Command Sergeant Major of the Adjutant General's School. The Adjutant General Corps has existed since June 1775. The regiment was founded in the summer of 1987. The following comments were taken from the Soldier Support Advocate magazine, the July to September 1987 edition. On June 17, 1987, the 212th anniversary of the Adjutant General's Corps, the Adjutant General's Corps Regiment was activated at the home of the Corps, Fort Benjamin Harrison, Indiana. This special occasion united members of the Corps from around the world to celebrate the regiment as a focal point of pride and energy. Festivities started early on June 16th with a 12-event regimental athletic day. Soldiers competed in swimming, softball, horseshoes, the litter carry, combat pushball, sprint relays, 5K and 10K races. Lieutenant Colonel Art Dupay led a team from Fort Jackson to capture gold honors. Over 870 regimental crest medals were awarded for individual excellence. Following the dedication of the Adjutant General School entrance at Gates-Lord Hall, the official activation ceremony was held on the parade ground. British Army Major Robert Dilby served as narrator, reflecting the fact that Horatio Gates was a British major before his appointment as our first Adjutant General. Major General retired Vern L. Bowers was invested as the honorary colonel. Chief Warrant Officer 4 retired Donald E. Hess as the honorary warrant officer, and Sergeant Major retired Dan Daly as honorary Sergeant Major of the regiment. Major General Alexei, Hall of Fame class of 2011, dedicated the Adjutant General's Corps colors. The words, "Defend and Serve," became our motto, and the Adjutant General's Corps regiment was officially activated. The grand finale was the Adjutant General's Corps Regimental Ball. The first Horatio Gates medals were bestowed upon many distinguished officers and non-commissioned officers for their significant contributions to the good of the Corps. The evening ended with the grand tattoo and the premiere performance of the Adjutant General's Corps March.
When Congress called for arms in 75, the AG was the first by Washington side. We organized and charted out the course. We served throughout our Army's mighty force. We marched to serve with duty as a goal. For duty is a noble word and role. The shield we wear reflects our past and pride. Defend and serve, it is our battle cry.
The Adjutant General's Corps March you just heard was prepared for the Hall of Fame induction ceremony by the United States Army Band and Chorus, Pershing Zone. The words were by Colonel Retired Frank Foster, a member of the Hall of Fame, and our first commandant during the regimental days. For the past 37 years, the Adjutant General's Corps and the Regimental Association have continued to provide world-class service to soldiers, commanders, and families. Units have activated and deactivated as the Army transformed. Soldiers and units have deployed to the Americas, Pacific, Europe, and Asia. Today is another significant day in the history of the Adjutant General's Corps as we recognize and induct the Hall of Fame class of 2024 for their contributions to our Army and our Adjutant General's Corps. Army Regulation 870-21, the U.S. Army Regimental System, bestows upon the Chief of the Corps the ability to appoint an honorary colonel, Chief Warrant Officer, and Sergeant Major of the Corps. These members provide a link with history to today's soldiers and assist the Chief of the Corps in perpetuating the history and traditions of the Corps. The honoraries are appointed for up to 2 3-year terms. We are pleased to have all 3 honoraries in attendance with us this morning, and I would like each to stand as I recognize them by name. The Honorary Colonel of the Corps, Major General Retired Richard P. Mustian. The Honorary Warrant Officer of the Corps, Chief Warrant Officer 5, Retired Dave Ratliff. I'm already standing. And our outgoing Honorary Sergeant Major of the Corps, Command Sergeant Major Retired Billy J. Blackman. Honorary Sergeant Major of the Corps, Command Sergeant Major Retired Darlene Haygood. In April of 2009, the Chief of the Corps proposed creating a Hall of Honor to recognize AG soldiers and civilians. Colonel Retired Rob Manning was the visionary, and this year marks the 15th iteration of inductions into the Hall of Honor. Rob, please stand. Following this ceremony, you'll have an opportunity to visit the Hall of Honor in the Adjutant General School. You'll find the history of the Adjutant General's Corps depicted in a timeline from 1775 to the modern day. You'll see the names of the recipients of the Maud, Logan, Strickland, Deneen, DeBert Reed, Gorley, Foster, and McCullough Awards displayed. At this time, ladies and gentlemen, it gives me great pleasure to introduce the Chief of the Corps, Colonel Chesley Thigpen.
My comments will be very brief because I always start with, it's a great day to be an AG soldier. welcome to today's ceremony, and I just want to say thank you. Thank you that you are here. You could be anywhere on a Friday, but you're here to help us celebrate, and that's what it's really all about. Today is to celebrate years of dedicated service, commitment, and sir, as you said earlier, General Stitt said, caring for people, having empathy, and caring for our Corps. So it's an honor just to be part of this ceremony, and that will end my comments. Defendant, sir.
Before we get to the official part, I'm going to digress here just a second. I've been known to be a little irreverent at times and pick on people. Well, I got one I'm going to pick on today. Stand up, Mike. Mike Malasso. First of all, today's his birthday. And second of all, yesterday he was inducted into the Fort Jackson Hall of Fame, the very first member of the Soldier Support Institute to receive that honor. You can, please. You notice I didn't ask you to come to the microphone and talk. Because we'd all be late for the ball. Before we recognize our newest honorees of the Corps, we want to take a moment to remember those Hall of Fame members who have passed away since their induction. Lieutenant General Retired Alan Ono, Hall of Fame class of 2010. Lieutenant General Retired Fred Bolrath, Hall of Fame class of 2010. Major General Retired Ron Brooks, Hall of Fame class of 2010. Major General Retired Jack Wheeler, Hall of Fame class of 2010. Chief Warrant Officer 5 Retired Tony Aclavia, Hall of Fame class of 2010. Chief Warrant Officer 4 Retired Patrick McElroy, Hall of Fame class of 2011. Chief Warrant Officer 5 Retired Dan Logan, Hall of Fame class of 2012. And Colonel Retired Bud Kelly, Hall of Fame class of 2022. Each year, personnel are nominated for selection as a distinguished member of the Corps. The Chief of the Corps makes the final selections. The duties of the DMOCs are ceremonial, and the position offers the recipient prestige and stature within the Corps. They are charged with assisting the Chief of the Corps and the honorary leaders of the Corps in perpetuating our history. Each year's class of inductees is commemorated with their names permanently placed in the AG Corps Hall of Honor, and each receives a pin to be worn at official functions. The distinguished members of the Corps for 2024 were recognized in a separate ceremony yesterday, and their names appear in your programs. If any of those new inductees are present today, would you please stand? We will now conduct the Hall of Fame induction ceremony for the class of 2024. Our first two inductees this year are honored in a new category we have named Historical Members. The intent of this new category is to capture AG and HR professionals from our past that deserve recognition. An inspiration for this new category was the redesignation of the Soldier Support Institute as the Soldier Support Institute, Army Sustainment University, Adams Campus, in honor of Lieutenant Colonel Charity Adams. Further, we had the precedent of inducting Major General Retired James Ulio in 2020. Major General Ulio was the Adjutant General of the Army for 4 years during World War II. We're creating a unique space in our Hall of Honor where we will place a commemorative photo of each historic inductee. Our first inductee in the historic category is Major General Horatio Gates. Major General Gates was a British-born American Army officer who served as a general in the Continental Army during the early years of the Revolutionary War. On General George Washington's recommendation, the Continental Congress made General Gates the first Adjutant General of the Continental Army in 1775. Major General Gates' previous wartime service and administrative post was invaluable to the fledgling Army. As Adjutant, Horatio Gates created the Army systems of records and orders and helped standardize regiments from the various colonies. Today, the Adjutant General Corps and Adjutant General Corps Regimental Association use a replica of the gold medal presented to Major General Gates by congressional resolution to honor excellence in our members. The Major General Horatio Gates Gold Member gold medal, is awarded for extraordinary achievements and service. Our second inductee into the historic category is Lieutenant Colonel Charity Adams. Lieutenant Colonel Adams joined the Women's Army Corps, or WACS, in 1942. In September 1943, she was promoted to major, making her one of the highest-ranking female officers at that time. At the end of 1944, Adams was selected as the commanding officer of the first unit of black African Americans to go overseas. Her unit was the 6888 Central Postal Directory Battalion. Their mission was to organize and direct mail to U.S. personnel which had gone undelivered. The women worked around the clock in 3 shifts for 8 hours per shift, 7 days a week. They were tasked with clearing all of the backlog mail in 6 months. They accomplished their goal in 3. For her performance and potential, Adams was promoted to Lieutenant Colonel. This rank was the highest possible promotion for any woman in the Women's Army Corps. Lieutenant Colonel Adams was discharged from service in 1946, and she remained active in civic work and served on multiple boards. She was the founder of the Black Leadership Development Program in Dayton in 1982, which continues to educate and train African Americans to be leaders in their communities. Before her death on January 13, 2002, the Smithsonian National Postal Museum honored Lieutenant Colonel Adams for her service with the 6888 during World War II. This concludes our historic inductees. For our remaining inductees, you will find information about each in your program. The members of the class of 2024 will receive a commemorative plaque and a lapel pin that will be worn at official functions. Please feel free to move about to take pictures. Our first inductee for the class of 2024 is Major General Retired Marcia M. Anderson. Major General Retired Anderson served our Army for 37 years in a diverse range of assignments, culminating as Deputy Chief of the United States Army Reserve. Her technical expertise, innovative thinking, and leadership epitomized the proud heritage of the Adjutant General's Corps. She advised the Secretary of the Army and the Chief of the Army Reserve on policies and programs for the Army Reserve, including force structure, congressional budget, appropriations process, manpower development, and personnel policies. She also worked on the Chief Army Reserve's Continuum of Service project. This all-inclusive project addressed the Reserve and Guard's integral role in the fight by modifying regulations to meet employers' needs, support duty statuses, medical care, and military career progression. Major General Retired Anderson continues to serve in retirement. She is a civilian aide to the Secretary of the Army and was an Army Reserve ambassador. She utilizes her AG competencies, civilian experience, civic leadership, and influence to advise and support Army leaders, and to promote the interests of our armed forces. Major General Retired Anderson has been and is a member of community boards to include Access Community Health, the United Way, and the Green Bay Packers Executive Committee. She's also a sponsor for the U.S. Army's Littoral Combat Ship, the USS Beloit, LCS 29. Please welcome Major General Retired Anderson to the stage.
So there's some Green Bay Packers haters in here. Just saying.
We like them better than the Cowboys.
Thank you, everyone, and thank you for that introduction. Lieutenant General Stitt, all of the senior officers, warrant officers, sergeants major, other distinguished guests, friends, family, and fellow members of the Army, the Adjutant General Corps. It is with great honor and humility that I stand before you today as an inductee into the AG Corps Hall of Fame. I am deeply grateful for this recognition, and I am proud to have served our country for 36 years. I would like to take a moment to acknowledge the sacrifice and support of my husband, who has stood by my side throughout my career. His unwavering love and encouragement have been a constant source of strength for me. and I'm grateful for his presence in my life. I also want to thank my sister and her husband for attending this ceremony today. It means a lot to have you here. And finally, I would be remiss if I did not acknowledge Mrs. Terry Maud and Mrs. Linda Logan, two women who represent the heart of our Corps. As I reflect on my time in the Army, I'm reminded of the long history of service of the members of the Adjutant General Corps. As you know, since its inception in 1775, the AG Corps has played a vital role in the success of our military, and I am very proud to have been part of this legacy. I'm honored to join the ranks of those who have made positive, lasting, and significant contributions to the history and traditions of the Army. Bear with me while I share my thanks briefly to those who helped me along the way. I owe my success to the many young enlisted soldiers who always impressed me with their enthusiasm and made me want to ensure that they had the resources, the mentoring, and training they needed to reach the next level and to excel. Also, I owe my success to the NCOs, who made sure I stayed out of trouble as a lieutenant and as a senior officer. You know who you are, and you know exactly what I mean. I also know that I owe all those warrant officers who are the true subject matter experts that make sure we get it right the first time, and who taught me how to read and apply regulations properly. They showed me the way. And finally, I am especially thankful to all the thousands of civilians today, yesterday, and tomorrow who are the keepers of our institutional history and our knowledge, and are the glue that keeps all of this together as all of us soldiers pass through institutions during our careers. In short, Army human resources professionals are the strength of our Army. From a soldier's accession, to you being scheduled for initial entry training, to your very first duty assignment, to helping us all take care of our family members, to when we're promoted, when we receive awards and decorations, and even as we consider and finally enter retirement and as we take our last walk, HR professionals are here. Be proud of who you are and always strive to do the best for your fellow soldiers and civilians. The AG Corps Hall of Fame serves as a testament to the dedication and sacrifice of all human resource professionals who have served and are serving, and I'm humbled to be counted among you. So in closing, I would like to express my deepest gratitude to the AG School and the Corps for this recognition, and to all of you for your service past and present to our Army and this country. May we continue to be all we can be. I'm glad they brought that back. And to uphold the values and traditions of the AG Corps. And may we always strive to serve our country and our Army with honor, integrity, and excellence. Defend and serve. Thank you.
Our next inductee is Major General Retired Joseph R. Calloway. Major General Retired Calloway ended his 37-year Army career as the Commanding General, Human Resources Command. He excelled in many of the toughest jobs in the Army, including Director of Military Personnel Management, Director Officer Personnel Management Directorate, and Chief General Officer Management Office. During the COVID pandemic, Major General Retired Calloway's direction was integral to the Army's human resources successes. In a time of great uncertainty, an unprecedented volume of revolutionary changes to our promotion, selection, and assignment processes, and with a dispersed workforce, his positive leadership and calmness under pressure helped the Army navigate an extremely challenging period in our history. At every level, Major General Retired Calloway made a difference in the readiness of the Army, welfare of his teams, and the positive reputation of the Adjutant General's Corps. He understood the regulations, policies, and procedures, and used them as a guide in working tirelessly with AG teammates and other Army leaders to take the best possible care of units, soldiers, and families across our Army. Please welcome retired Major General Calloway into the Adjutant General's Corps Hall of Fame class of 2024. Good morning.
Good morning.
Thanks to everybody for coming out. I know most of you had something better to do, and some of you were just morbidly curious about what was going to go on. And I want to say a special thanks to Chesley, to Colonel Thigpen and his team, and to Colonel Jay Edwards and his team. They not only train and have trained America's future AG soldiers and leaders for many, many years. As importantly, they do tireless work for the AG Corps to make events like this happen, to make the AG Ball happen every year. People don't realize the unbelievable amount of work that goes into making that happen. So thanks to you guys and your teams for what you do every day to make our Corps better, so thank you. And also a couple of folks, Rob Manning and Ward. So these two gentlemen, in and out of uniform, both for over 40 years, have made our Corps what it is today. And without you two, our regimental association would not be anywhere near what it is. Both of you were inspirations to me as a young captain about what it was like, about what passion and competence was as an officer. And both tremendous examples. So thank you both for everything that you've done, and Mike Ward, early congratulations to you on your last AG Ball and your pending retirement here in a couple of days. So thank you both. If we could please give those gentlemen a hand. It's a huge honor for me to be here today. It's made even more so by the fact that I'm privileged enough to get inducted with a couple of folks that are really, really special to me. Brigadier General Jim Iacocca, Lou Hinkle, and Wardell Jefferson. These are three men. I've known Jim for 30 plus years, and I consider him to be my closest friend. These other gentlemen, like Jim, are men of exceptional character who I admire and respect as both people and professionals. So it really is, it does make the day just a little bit more special than it already was. So thanks to you guys for everything that you've done over the course of my career. 42 years ago, I enlisted as a medic. Never in a million years would I have envisioned standing on this stage today. Honestly, even 6-7 years ago as a colonel, I never would have thought any of this was possible. But those of you who know me, and there are several in the audience, you will say, well, it isn't because of your piercing intellect. And I know that. And those who don't know me are looking up here thinking, it damn sure ain't because of your dashing good looks. It took a village, and it took a fairly large, patient one, and it starts right there in the front row with those four beautiful ladies. My wife, Lori, who is my rock, my best friend and partner, the best mother and wife any man could ever hope for. They just don't get any better. She will deny this to the end, but she's actually been influencing me for about 40 years when we first started dating. And I know she'll get mad at me for saying it, but I would literally say that the chance of prison or being on this stage, much more likely that I would have been in prison had I not met that beautiful lady. Our two daughters, Tara and Lindsay, mercifully, their genetic code came largely from Lori's side of the family. And so, here they are today, two beautiful,
brilliant, kind, diversely talented women, and I'm very, very proud of the great young ladies that you've become. And Tara is the amazing mother of our 2 grandsons, so she gets the bonus points. Lindsay's bonus points are she can walk in any room with anybody and within 5 minutes make you feel better about who you are. So both love you very much, and thank you both for coming today. And that young lady sitting in between them all is my 97-year-old mother-in-law. For a better mother, a better mother-in-law, or a better grandparent than that beautiful lady right there. She is awesome, and at 97, literally better health than I am. It's a little bit disgusting. You know, I'm not a genius, but without her, I also would have had to settle for a lesser wife. So it just goes like that. I love all of you. You're my inspiration, my motivation. I love you very much, and thanks for everything that you've done for me over the years and for being exactly the beautiful women that you are. So I'm mad at Joan Anderson because I thought she was going to be a little longer and I could get up here. But, she's more eloquent, and that's, oh well. Like most people, I had a 4-year plan. I was going to do my ROTC commitment, then I was going to do 1,000 different things. I was going to be a teacher and a coach. I was going to be an FBI agent. I was going to be a lawyer. I was going to be an executive. I was going to do something. But none of that happened. I thought I didn't want to stay in. But from day one, from second lieutenant to major general, I was surrounded by amazing people. Those people are the reason I stayed in, and those people are the reason that I'm up here today. So please bear with me as I try to recognize just a few of the people who are responsible or to blame for me being up here, however you want to couch it. And it starts off with some NCOs. Tirelessly dedicated, truly the backbone of our Army. And I've just had some amazing ones. Jurgen Haupt, Paul Whaley, Antonio Adams, Forrest Attaway, Stephanie Owens, Christy Robre, Sergeant Major Mark Clark, and Sergeant Major Wardell Jefferson. Again, the backbone. Warrant officers. Warrant officers are not just technicians, which people kind of are used to kind of think of warrant officers as technicians. They're not just technicians. They are selflessly committed leaders who are mentors and trainers for people at every single grade, from private to 4-star general. That's what they do. They bring a wealth of expertise, and I've been blessed. Dan Logan, Charlie Wigglesworth, Ryan Martin, Mike Raddick, Rafael Santos, Ron Galloway, Yolandria Dixon Carter, Edney Evis, and Raymond Reichskind. All these people, again, touched me in countless ways, as they did so many others. Civilians are they're the institutional expertise and history for our Army, and it would die without them. They run the enterprise whether we really like it or not. Gene Banker, Dave Martino, Hillary Baxter, Jerry Purcell, Paul Aswell, Kim Sparks, Stormy Looney. Blessed. Young officers who supported me as I grew in rank and the Army's standards kept dropping. Matt Gillespie, Josie Martinez, LaShare Campbell, Bobby Barnhart, Drew Lanier. Officers with 10 times the capacity and ability to multitask as I ever thought about having. Just didn't have it, just the way it was. My peers and senior teammates. Folks who carried an exceptionally heavy load that you could bounce ideas off of, that had the guts to push back and tell you, that's a dumb idea. And people you could always count on to assist wherever it was. If it was at midnight, 2 in the morning, the weekend, whatever the case was, they were always there. Jim Iacocca, Hope Rampy, Rick Porter, Bob Bennett, Alan Kellogg, Lou Hinkle, Tony Teolis. Unbelievable. I was so lucky to be blessed to be surrounded by those kind of people. And lastly, bosses. 34 years on active duty, I had one bad boss. I hope that you're as fortunate over the course of your career. One bad boss might have been the most important boss I had, because he taught me a whole heck of a lot about, in 2 years, this is what you don't want to be. I tried to take that lesson to heart. But for the rest of my 32 years, unbelievably amazing bosses. They had my back, they gave me their trust, they let me do my job, they guided me and mentored me, not just when I worked for them, but beyond. Former Chief of Staff of the Army, Ray Odierno, who we lost way too early. Lieutenant General retired Mike Rochelle. Lieutenant General retired Mike Oates. Lieutenant Colonel retired Kent Shaw. Colonel retired Dan Bruno. And perhaps most importantly, Lieutenant General retired Tom Siemens. Any one of those guys disappears from my path, and I retire 3 or 4 grades. I maybe don't retire, but at best 3 or 4 grades junior. That's the impact that bosses have. So somebody out here, you either are that boss now, or you're going to be that boss someday. Unbelievable the impact that you can have on someone's life. Because without those gentlemen, I certainly wouldn't be here. So anyway, people ask me what I miss. There's a lot I don't miss. You don't miss the hours, you don't miss the stress, you don't miss some of the politics. But what you do miss is you miss the really amazing people you get to work around every day, and you miss the difference you get to make in the lives of people and in the organizations that you work for. That's what you miss. And like I said, the ability to help others. So those of you who here are students or cadre, you're serving at a really, really tough time. It's uniquely challenging, and it's tough. Between IPSA, fielding, all that goes along with that, recruiting and in-strength challenges, and all the revolutionary changes that are occurring with how we promote people, assign people, select people for command, it's really, really tough, especially for our young officers and NCOs that are serving that. But you folks are our future. It's not, if they're sitting in a row 10 or forward, they're not the future. You guys are the future, and we need you to stay. I'd urge you to do a couple of things. Work hard to be broadly competent and seek the tough jobs. There are a couple people in the audience, I don't know if one of them was here, but there's 2 right there. There are no 2 better examples than the 2 senior AG officers in our Army, Doug Stitt and Hope Rampy. I couldn't hold a candle to those 2. Unbelievably competent, capable people. I'm not even in their league. So you are blessed to have them leading our Army right now, and that's what you should aspire to be. Be similar to those folks. Don't be like Callaway. Anyways, care about what you're doing. AG people change lives. That's what we do. Care about what you do and make a difference. And then lastly, try to look beyond the immediate. The immediate frustration of your 3rd S1 job, or being in an assignment that you don't like, or a job that you think your boss doesn't like AG officers. Look beyond all that and stay the course. You're going to find out that your work and the people you're around and the rewards get larger and larger and larger the longer you stay and the more senior you get. Who knows, one day you could be up on this stage, and it's going to come a lot sooner than you think. Now, I'm going to have to be honest with you. You're not going to be as good looking as Lou Hinkle when you get here. You're not going to be as smart as Jim Iacocca or Marsha Anderson. And you're not going to be as miraculously well-rounded as Wardell Jefferson. Sorry. Not going to happen for you. But what you will find is that you've had a huge impact on the organizations that you served with and all the people that you served around, and that they've done the same for you. Trust me, 3 years removed, it's not the same on the outside. The people, the culture, it's just not the same anymore. you're going to find that you've impacted countless soldiers and families across the course of your career, many of those in life-changing ways. And you're also going to find that you don't regret staying. So whatever your course is, thank you for serving our nation. And thank all of you for being here today. God bless our Army. God bless America. God bless each and every one of you. Defend and serve.
The next member of the class of 2024 is Brigadier General Retired James T. Iacocca. Brigadier General Retired Iacocca concluded his 30-plus year military career as the 60th, the Adjutant General of the Army. As the TAG, he oversaw multiple successful initiatives, including fielding the new OER, NCOER, and academic efficiency reports. Whether working within the Special Operations community, recruiting command, the Joint Staff, or as a paratrooper, Brigadier General Retired Iacocca was known for his moral character, his selfless service, and his loyalty to the Army and the AG Corps. He deployed multiple times, including Operation Desert Shield and Desert Storm, Hurricane Andrew disaster relief, and both Enduring Freedom and Iraqi Freedom. While serving as commander, 3rd Recruiting Brigade, his was the only brigade to implement team recruiting. This concept, coupled with his leadership, helped the brigade meet its mission. Brigadier General Retired Iacocca continues to serve in his retired status. In October 2020, he was appointed a civilian aide to the Secretary of the Army for the state of Kentucky, and he was also a board member for the Kentucky Vietnam Veterans Memorial. Please welcome Brigadier General Retired Iacocca into the Hall of Fame class of 2024.
Well, like Joe, I was hoping that General Anderson would talk some more. And it's always tough to follow Joe. Those of you that know us, that know what he gets done with humor and intellect, I've gotten done with brute force. So we'll see how this goes. But thank you, my friend. I was doing fine. She said kind words about me, so I get a little emotional stuff. It was fine. Well, thank you. I'm incredibly humbled and honored, especially because of the fellow Hall of Fame inductees that I share this day with. Also because the Commandant of the AG School, Chesley Thigpen, is probably a key reason of why I'm here. Not because of the chair he sits in now, but because what he did when I was the G1 at the 82nd and keep me out of trouble. So it's really wonderful that you get to officiate over this ceremony. So thank you. Before I get into why it's special to be inducted with these other members of the Hall of Fame, I want to make it clear that it is certainly clear to me, and should be clear to most folks here, that me being inducted into the Hall of Fame is not any recognition of what I have done, but of the folks that have mentored me, led me, and served with me over a blessed 29-year career. First and foremost, I want to thank God, who has always watched out over me. Those of you that know me know I needed it a lot. And to my wife, Sandy. Now, there's folks in this room that knew Sandy and I when we were both on active duty in the Army. Our daughter was born in 1993, and Sandy and I had the conversation, which one was going to get out? And I'm like, I'm happy to get out. And Sandy said, no, I'm getting out. Like everything else in life, yes, dear, and she gets what she wants to do. But you all know that the wrong Iacocca got out. And that Sandy would certainly be up here. Perhaps she'd probably still be on active duty, but that's neither here nor there. But hey, Sandy, thank you for everything. Our daughter Megan both endured multiple moves, sometimes in quick succession, long hours, missed events, 3 different high schools. I could not have done it without you, nor would I have wanted to do it without you. Now, as I said, I didn't get here without the help of a lot of folks. I'm going to go through a lot of names. I can share a story with every one of the names I'm going to mention, but in, Gordon said we get 20 minutes? So, thank you. So I will mention the names of the folks. I won't share the stories. And unfortunately, you know, I didn't do this in my retirement. I didn't say any names because I know I'd forget somebody. I'm sure I'm going to forget somebody today. And if I do, it has no reflection on your contributions to why I'm here. It's just my limited capacity. So I will go through this. Thanks to the incredible role models and mentors that I have had. Some AG, some not. Folks like Bowen, Murphy, Malasso, Siemens, Jones, Porter, Byrne, Mustian, Evans, Cole, McCullough, Wolverton, Strange, Manning, Martin, Watley, Jordan, Forrester, Bridges, Prophet, Schwitters, Russell, Finke, Anderson, Garrett, Huggins, Cerrone, Bostic, Campbell, Gortney, and Scaparrotti. So thank you to all of them who have mentored me over time. Great friends like Callaway, Wark, Stitt, Kellogg, Bennett, Cody, Ellis, Ward, Hood, Fogg, Vereen, Isaacson, Teolis, Ferris, Grove, and Ayers. Warrant officers like Daughtry, Nixon, Cavalieri, and Jasinski. Great NCOs like Clark, Rodriguez, Lyons, Sherman, Rhodes, Galarza, Jackson, Ford, and Cheney. And fantastic teammates like Rampy, Conley, Thigpen, Shimming, Pistone, Husky, Prem, Hoagland, Chilton, Reed, Edwards, Stevenson, we talked about that last night, Key, Romero, Fitzgerald, Gay, Rapinati, Miller, Garris, Franzosa, and Piccarelli. And I'm sure countless others. And again, if I miss somebody, my apologies. Now back to why it's special to be inducted with the AG leaders here today. They may not even know the influence that they had. Colonel Hinkle, when you were the G1 at the 24th Infantry Division a few days ago, I think, yeah. And I was the S1 at 3160, you conduct a meeting on the new OER that was new then at Fort Stewart. Your professionalism and your ability to talk with the crowd in a friendly and unpretentious manner was an important lesson to me in communication. Colonel McNair, I can say this. When I was a smart-ass captain at the AG school, you taught me a little humility. You may not remember it, but I do. Sergeant Major Jefferson, your teamwork and cooperation were unmatched at HRC, and you always had time and sage advice when I needed it. General Anderson, our paths have crossed several times during our career, and now again as civilian aides to the Secretary of the Army. Sorry. My dear friend Joe Calloway, the epitome of a gentleman, a husband, a father, a grandfather, you're getting old, brother, a soldier and a general officer. I'm proud to call you friend and continue building our friendship. You make me a better man. Now, I suppose some words of wisdom are in order, but I'm not that smart, so I'm going to keep it simple. I found these things to be true in and out of uniform. Work hard, do your homework, treat people well, and be honest. Again, thank you for this honor. It's a testimony to those that I have mentioned and the countless soldiers and paratroopers that I have had the honor to serve in the last 29 years, or my 29 years in service. God bless America, God bless the United States Army, and God bless the AG Corps. Defend and serve.
The fourth member of the class is Colonel Retired Louis O. Hinkle. Colonel Retired Hinkle contributed over 40-plus years combined military and civilian service supporting the United States Army and the Adjutant General's Corps. His military service encompassed notable assignments including G1, 3rd Infantry Division Mechanized, Commander, 95th AG Battalion, and Deputy Director, Enlisted Personnel Management Directorate, Human Resources Command. Following retirement, Colonel Retired Hinkle became a DA civilian, serving again as the Deputy Director for EPMD for over 12 years. While serving in HRC, Colonel Retired Hinkle was instrumental in transitioning EPMD from the Military District of Washington to Fort Knox, Kentucky, sustaining enlisted force readiness through unrelenting end-strength growth and drawdown periods, and delivering manning initiatives like Life Cycle and the Sustained Readiness Model. Colonel Retired Lou Hinkle served in every facet of the Army AG community, from G1 Commander to Deputy Director in the operational and institutional Army, all while executing exemplary HR support for the Army soldiers and their families. He sustained an unprecedented level of confidence with the leaders across the commands, allowing him to move personnel support to the forefront. Please welcome Colonel Retired Lou Hinkle into the Hall of Fame class of 2024.
So thank you for that wonderful introduction. I agree with General Iacocca. It's tough coming behind some great speakers. And Wardell, I will change position with you to be well-rounded versus, good-looking or whatever Joe said about me. Anyway, good morning. It's a great day to be here in South Carolina. Lieutenant General Stitt and Beth, it's great to see you too. General officers, sergeants major, non-commissioned officers, civilians, family, and friends. I'll be honest with you and say this recognition came as a complete and utter surprise. And I'm so humbled and grateful to be included in such an astute group of distinguished Hall of Famers. I'd like to congratulate my fellow Hall of Famers. They're all just superstars. I'm not sure, why I'm included in this group, but here I am. Job well done to all of you. Special thank you to the current SSI, AG School, and AGCRA leadership team, Colonels Jason Edwards, Chesley Thigpen, Ward, Rob Manning, and I know there's others in there that I didn't mention, but those are the top four, I'd say. Jason and Chesley were both previously superstars in EPMD, where I first knew them, and I thank you for your continued leadership and contributions to the Corps. Ward, I didn't know you very well, and I still don't, but thank you for everything you've done. I kind of know what a deputy does, and it's a lot of heavy lifting between bosses, but you've done a fantastic job, and good luck in retirement. Rob Manning, to me, he's Bobby Lee. We all had nicknames back then. We go way back to company command together in the 80s in the fabulous 369th AG Battalion. I think the Bulldogs were better than the Cobras or whatever you would call them. We shared some great times together, some challenging times. I'll always consider you a friend for life. A shout out to a few special people, namely all the CGs, former CGs of HRC with whom I served. You all had such unique challenges during your careers, or during your tenure, and you all succeeded. Bob Ortiz. I've known Bob since the advanced course. I consider him an advocate. And one thing Bob did for me, he called me and he said, hey, your membership is expired. You might want to renew. I said, oh. And he said he already did it for me, so thank you. Let me pivot now to The important people that I brought here today are asked to be here. Sharon, my lovely bride, she's my rock, my friend, thank you so much. I'm fortunate to have Diane and Eddie Brosel here, my favorite sister and brother-in-law. No one holds a candle to you two. It means such a great deal to have you both here. All right, now I'm going to name three individuals, and they're here, and I'll name a fourth that's not. So, Colonel Retired Dave and Susan Ty, and Susan's not here, but Dave did make the travel. I can remember when I first met Dave, he came into HRC, former battalion commander. We had an office call. He's sitting in front of me, and I'm reviewing his orb, his assignments, everything he's done, and I look at his photo. And there's this guy in his photo, and he's got all kinds of hair. He actually needs a huge haircut. I say, Dave, who is this in the photo? He goes, that's just me. So, Dave, you were a good-looking guy at one point. But if anyone knows Dave and the contributions he made to EPMD and HRC, it's unfathomable. He was just so brilliant in his development of various manning models. And being able to tell leadership whether something's viable or not. And Dave, no one did it better. Colonel Retired John and Sandy, thank you. Thank you for coming. I've known John since our first CAD days back in 1894. John puts up with a lot of that, but we're the same age, so I don't know why. Actually, it's 1994. And anyone that knows John knows that he's the hardest worker you'll ever come across. First one in, last one to leave. He's the epitome of what it means to be a professional officer. So John, your friendship and all your support means a lot. Colonel Tony and Shelby Teolis, thank you two for coming. So everyone can tell Teolis stories, I know. But I have one I bet you've never heard, okay? So, Tony must have been in Gomo as a lieutenant colonel, and he wanders into HRC, I guess. I never met him. And I'm in my office, and I hear this commotion in Brigadier General Bobby Woods' office, who was the director at the time. And so I go in there, and there's Tony in PT clothes, feet propped up on his desk, fainting, smoking a cigar, calling out all the famous Bobby Woods catchphrases like, hey, yeah, this ain't my first day in a rodeo. But only Tony could pull that off, and we've been friends since that point. Tony also has been a great contributor to Army Readiness as the Readiness Division Chief, and you went through some turbulent times as well, and tough times in manning our Army, but you also did it superbly, my friend. The other one I want to mention, he's not here, Mark Russo. Those of you that know Mark know of his capabilities. He's probably the most capable non-AG HR civilian I've ever known. Because he has this unique experience and proficiency in doing what it takes to build and sustain a precise enlisted inventory. And many people don't even know what that means. But it is so key, and it's the critical first step to delivering Army readiness. And no one does it better than Mark. While he couldn't be here, I just want to thank Mark for all his support. And he continues to be a great civilian in HRC. I have great confidence that this great national organization and their supporting chapters will continue to be an inspiration and instill pride in our magnificent AG Corps. Thank you, all you three, for helping achieve that. And again, I wanted to say thank you from the bottom of my heart. Defending service.
Our next inductee is Colonel Retired Philip A. McNair. Colonel Retired McNair's distinguished 26-plus year Army career culminated as the executive officer to the Army G1 and was followed by 12 years at the American Military University. Throughout his career, Colonel Retired McNair was noted for his technical expertise, common sense, and ability to counsel and guide senior leaders to ensure the personnel readiness of combat units was at the highest levels. His mastery and knowledge of the Army's myriad personnel management systems was without equal. Key assignments included Commander, the 556th Personnel Services Company, 25th Infantry Division Light. Commander, 101st Personnel Services Battalion, 101st Airborne Division Air Assault. Chief Adjutant General's Branch, Officer Personnel Management Directorate, and Chief Enlisted Distribution Division, U.S. Army Personnel Command. For his actions following the attack on the Pentagon on 9/11, Colonel Retired McNair received the Soldier's Medal and the Purple Heart. After the plane crashed into the Army G1 offices, he calmly led others to safety and, risking his life, returned multiple times into the burning and collapsing section of the Pentagon to save trapped personnel. His quick actions to restation many of the G1 personnel throughout the military district of Washington and his counsel to senior leaders allowed the Army G1 to regain full operational capability within 36 hours. Please welcome Colonel Retired Phil McNair into the Hall of Fame class of 2024.
Well, I guess I'm the OG here. I'm going to be 70 in a couple of months, so, you know, when I was in the Army, we called it FirstCom, not HRC. Actually, when I first came in, it was called Milperson, Military Personnel Center, obviously. I didn't bring a big speech, but I know what I want to say, so I'm just going to kind of ad-lib it and hope it works out. And I'm glad I didn't write anything too formal, because obviously these guys are great at talking up here. I haven't had a suit on in probably 5 years. I'm glad this thing actually fits. But I do want to say thanks to the people who set this up. I mean, this is amazing. You guys do wonderful things here. I haven't spent much time at Fort Jackson, because when I was in, all of our stuff was at Fort Jackson in Indianapolis. So a lot of this is kind of unknown to me. I've been here a few times TDY, and I know many of the folks here, but Rob Manning, you as been stated, you are really the godfather of all of our regimental stuff. He and I were talking last night, and other regimental associations are envious of what the AG Corps Regimental Association has become. And the National Ball, which has, what, 800 people, something like that, coming tonight, 800 people. He said they're expecting 1,200 next year. When other regimental balls, annual balls, are, you know, trying to scramble to get a few people, sell a few tickets. I have a few people that I do want to talk about, and then I'm going to relate a couple of stories, if you don't mind. I have some folks here that are joining me, and I appreciate that. CW5 Ed Nieves, probably the most capable warrant officer I ever served with. In fact, when I was at PSB at Fort Campbell, I wanted to put him in command of one of our detachments, and they said, you can't put a warrant officer in command of a detachment. That's for a commissioned officer. And I said, I'm going to put the warrant officer in. They said, no, you can't do that. I said, show it to me, you know, in the regulation. Well, you know, it's kind of tradition. So we put Ed in, and Ed did wonderful things. And after Campbell, Ed's older than I am. He went to airborne school at the age of 49 and spent the last probably 10 years of his career in Special Forces units, deployed multiple times to Afghanistan and Iraq, long after I had even retired. General Rick Porter, who replaced me in the Pentagon as the XO, that was in 2002, and he is still serving the Army today. I mean, he got promoted, spent 4 years as the G1 at ForceCom, moved to Fort Liberty, and is a senior civilian now doing the same job. And last time I talked to him, I said, man, you are sticking in there, you know. I said, I like it, you know, it's my thing. Raz Woff, who was in my basic course, he had some airplane message today, and he'll be at the ball tonight, but Major General Woff from the reserves. Read this guy's biography if you ever get a chance. Just Google Raz Woff. Spent 40-plus years in the Army, mostly in the reserves. He was in the reserves even though he was commissioned regular Army when we went to the basic course. He wanted to be in the reserves because he had another job on the side. He was an ordained priest and rose up through the reserve ranks and had multiple reserve commands at the general officer level, not AG commands. I'm talking about big group commands of reserve soldiers while being the chaplain of big hospitals in the Midwest. I mean, this guy, just check him out. Tom Gills, Sergeant Major Tom Gills, he's another one. He was with me in Hawaii, ended up becoming the G1 Sergeant Major later in his career. He also does a little magic. And he's the current editor of the Soldier's Guide, in case you ever remember that thing. And I want to thank Colonel Nick Manji. He was supposed to be here today. Many of you know him. He had a mishap on a train up in Canada and hurt his knee, but he dug out my nomination packet and sprinkled some magic dust on it, and suddenly here I am. And I'm humbled, like the others have said, to be associated with you guys. I read your biographies, even though I pretty much knew you, and I didn't want to come up here. My first assignment in the Army was to Fort Lewis, Washington, out of LSU, where I was a ROTC cadet. And I got my first choice because I did pretty good in ROTC. It was easier back then because it was 1976. The Vietnam War had just ended, so ROTC wasn't all that popular. You know? When I first started college, they still had the lottery. And my first semester in college, we had about 45 people in our ROTC class. The lottery ended that December, and we came back for a spring semester, there was like 4. That was because we were all on scholarship, the other kids, you know, left. But anyway, I went to Fort Lewis. 9th Infantry Division was there at the time, commanded by a guy named Cavazos. You may have heard of him. I think they named a small fort for him in Texas. After I'd been there for a few months, they made me the IPRO, if you know what that is, the Installation Personnel Readiness Officer. I was in the Enlisted Management Branch, and in that job I had to be conversant on all the readiness, the personnel statistics of all the units at Fort Lewis, and attend all the monthly readiness briefings with General Cavazos, and answer any possible readiness question you could possibly imagine about why is the 2nd of the 60th short 3 supply sergeants? You know, I'm sure you've all heard those kind of things. By the time I finished that job, I knew every MOS by heart. My friends would quiz me, you know, 57 Echo, laundry and bath specialist, 64 Bravo, wheel vehicle guy. Back then, I was reading the MOS, I forget what regulation it was. We still had on our books balloon basket repairmen. That was a special thing. Pigeon fancier when they had homing pigeons, you know. Pilot MOS. Interesting thing was, 23 years later, I'm working at FirstCom in Enlisted Distribution Division, and I'm learning the job, and you have to know the personnel readiness statistics of every major unit in the Army. And I'm kind of thinking, this sounds familiar. You know? Now I'm the IPRO for the entire Army, and I go to the monthly readiness briefings with the Chief of Staff of the Army, General Maude, and I would go in there, and General Shinseki would say, why was the 82nd short 85 supply sergeants in their P2 in personnel readiness? And General Maude would say what the guys that sit around the table say, and if it got a little deeper, if you've ever been to, you know, a high-level meeting, the guys around the table give you a lot of good strategic information, and then if it goes beyond that, they look to the side and there's all the geeks around the wall. The notebooks, you know, I'm going through, well, the Army's short, no, sir. Anyway, so I was doing that job, and General Maude called me in the spring of 2001 and said, I want you to come over and be my XO. My current XO, Sean Byrne, who was also an OBC classmate of mine, got promoted, and he was moving over to take over EPMD. I said, well, sir, you know, I love you, you're a great guy, and we've worked together, but I don't want to go over to the Pentagon. I'm not a Pentagon kind of guy. I don't know how all that stuff works, you know. And he said, no, just come over here and give me some time. You know, I need somebody, and we work well together. So I said, can we do it on kind of a yearly basis, you know, if I do a year. And, so I went over there in July of 2001, and 2 months later, well, you know what happened? We lost the whole front office. I mean, General Maude, Sergeant Major, Secretary, aide, my entire admin team out front, all of our clerks and everybody. Martha Carden, who was my assistant, some of you may have known her, a long-serving civilian, great lady. She and I were kind of the last two standing. The ADESPER, Assistant G1, was TUI at the time. But it showed me what can happen. I realized that I hadn't been sent over there, because I have an angel on my shoulder. Literally, I have an angel tattooed on my shoulder because of all this. But I wasn't there for 9/11, I was really there for 9/12, because that's when everything really had to get done. But the way people came together and reconstituted, we didn't have an office anymore. I mean, if you see a picture of the Pentagon after the 9/11 attack, that big caved-in section there, that's where we were. And Martha and I escaped because we were in a conference room conducting a meeting down the hall, and not all people got out of that meeting either. But we both ended up in the hospital. But the next day, we had office space over back at FirstCom, where I'd just come from, which was located in Alexandria in an office building where it had been for years. And we had guys buried in our G1 staff, dispersed staff, that just did miraculous things. I mean, one of our infantry colonels, because there's a lot of people, you know, that work in personnel business, especially at the upper levels, that aren't AG people. They may have secondary specialties of personnel, but one of the most impressive ones is a guy named Mark Lewis, who was an infantry colonel who'd been there forever. And when he retired, they actually made him a SES, right, Rick? Didn't they? He became the ADESPER, I think, for a while. He actually was on the phone at midnight talking to the FirstCom commander, getting us office space. So on 9/12, we were back in there, and interestingly, without even coordination, you know, when you work in the Pentagon, you wear, you know, Class A or Class B uniform. We all showed up at FirstCom in BDUs because we knew, you know, we knew the fight was on. And it was a tough year. Replacing General Maude was difficult, and I'm privileged to have Terry here. I hadn't seen Terry in 23 years until today, except for a picture I have in my office. I was telling her, she remembers this, but after 9/11, there were a lot of publicity type events. The media, of course, was all over us. And there was a ceremony because the Olympics were going to be held, the Winter Olympics were going to be in Salt Lake City, 2001, 2002. So about probably November or whenever, I don't, my dates are kind of gone, but you know how they run the Olympic torch, the Olympic flame across the country, and it ends up at the Olympics, you know, in the opening ceremony, they light this big thing. Well, it went through D.C., and I got to go to the White House, and they came in, and George Bush talked and all that. Well, they had a ceremony at the Pentagon, and they wanted some people that were representative of those affected by 9/11, you know, survivors in different areas. And Terry Maude and I were representing the G1, and I've got a picture of her and I passing the lit Olympic torch. And between each other, and I have that great picture in my office. It's really cool, and something happened though to that picture, because we don't quite look the same. So I've been retired since 2002. I spent 12 years at American Military University, still tangentially associated with the Army personnel business, because it was about education. It was about, one of the very first completely online institutions where you could get a degree. So if you got PCS from point A to point B and you lose credits because you could go to University of Maryland over here, but if you went to Germany, maybe they had another place. We were in the very forefront of using the internet for education, and the academic community did not like that at all. Nowadays, partly because of the ground we broke, we fought like hell to get accredited. But nowadays, every school you can get an online MBA, online this. But back then, it was like, that was taboo. We were stepping into hallowed ground, and we did it with a bunch of basically military guys that didn't know what we were doing. It was founded by an old Marine who had trouble getting his own master's, and so we busted our butt and made that happen. It reminded me of what you do in the Army. You go into something that's not real well known and you figure it out. And that was the fun part. When I got there, they had 8,000 students. When I left 12 years later, they had 120,000 students. Just to show you how, once we got accredited, once everything happened. And then it became kind of more business-like, and I didn't like that, so I play golf now, and I'm the homeowners association president, which in many ways is harder than being in the Army. Because in the Army, you can say, go do that, and somebody goes and does that. In the HOA community is, can somebody please go do that? It's all volunteer people, and everybody hates you. And the only reason I do it selfishly is because I live there, and I don't know anybody else who I would rather have doing it than me. I don't want some asshole, But once you get that job, it's like being in jail. My wife, Nancy, many of you know her. She unfortunately couldn't be here. We've been married almost 43 years. She has some health issues, but she said after I got the call about this from Colonel Ticton, she said, I detect that your head is swelling a little bit with this honor, and I need to give you something that will help you, remember, you need to be humble about these things. Yeah. So she gave me this. She said, this fits your new headset. I didn't want to put this on. I thought it might mess up my hair. So anyway, it's nice seeing everybody. They're wonderful people. Like Lou or Joe or Jim said, I didn't plan to do this my whole life either. In fact, they said, what branch do you want? You get that point in ROTC, if branching time comes around. And you have like your 4 or 5 ROTC cadre, and you know what branches they are, mostly combat arms. And you don't know anything about the other ones, so you go to the officer's guide or whatever, and you go, what does a quartermaster guy do? And I saw this AG shield, and I had really planned to just serve for a couple of years and then go to law school and come back as a JAG. So I said, what is the branch that looks like it would be the most fun? And back then, AGs used to run the club system. I saw in the office like club manager. I said, that's what I want to do. And the funny thing was my PMS, the big guy. We had an 06 at LSU because we were an old historic program. He was infantry, and I requested AG, so he said he would make a fine field artilleryman. And I went to him and I said, but sir, the protocol is if you're the top cadet, you get your pick. And you go, damn it, yeah. So it really kind of got his goat. But I came in as an AG officer. I've never regretted it. The law school thing, for various reasons, just didn't work out. And you get into it, and it's the people, like has been stated here. It's the people. I mean, the job is important, but the people that you're working with are the most important, and there's just so many great people. So those of you back there, I hope you stay in. It was well stated when somebody said, you know, stick it out now, because it gets more challenging and more, you know, the good stuff comes later, but you gotta go through the mud, you know, to get to the top of the ladder. So anyhow, defend and serve.
Our final honoree today is Command Sergeant Major Retired Wardell Jefferson. Old it was. Command Sergeant Major Retired Jefferson's 32 years of service were characterized by selfless service, professionalism, and dedication to mission accomplishment. His hard work and sterling reputation led to his selection for multiple challenging and demanding billets, including Commandant, 7th Army NCO Academy, Command Sergeant Major, Human Resources Command, and the Army G1 Sergeant Major. Command Sergeant Major Retired Jefferson played a pivotal role in the complete overhaul of the NCO professional development model. His involvement on NCO Strategy 2020, modernization of the NCOER, set the foundation for the future of NCO talent management. As the G1 Sergeant Major, he helped develop processes and procedures related to some of the most challenging policies, including talent management, transgender service, the occupational physical readiness test, and the accession of non-citizen recruits. He was frequently called upon to brief congressional committee members, international military delegations, and to serve as the Army's senior representative on Army senior leader panels. Throughout his distinguished career, Command Sergeant Major Retired Jefferson made an enduring and positive impact on the Adjutant General Corps and the Army. Please welcome Command Sergeant Major Retired Jefferson to the stage.
First of all, I feel like I've been set up. I want to know if I'm last because I was the last one in. Am I last because you know, you wanted these great speakers to lead the way, or is it I'm last because non-commissioned officers pick up what they drop? I had to loosen the mood a little bit because following you know, my classmates that have gone before me is going to be a tough act. But you know, I didn't really prepare a speech. These past few weeks, you know, my mind, my emotions have been all over the place, and I wanted to make sure that I didn't miss the opportunity and that I didn't mess this up in front of this audience of greatness. So I let God, you know, guide my steps, and he put it on my heart on what I'm going to talk about to you today. So as I was walking this morning, clearing my head, I jotted down some bullets, and that's what I'm going to go with. So first of all, I want to thank God, because without him, none of this is possible. Lieutenant General Stitt, Beth, Smoke, General Rampy, General Walkowitz, other general officers, command sergeants, majors, senior civilians, family, friends, and loved ones, thank you for sharing this day with us. I truly appreciate that. I'm gonna take you on a little journey. As a kid, I had dreams of the Hall of Fame. Believe it or not, I had dreams of the Hall of Fame. I thought it would be Canton, Ohio. God said it would be Columbia, South Carolina. So I am good with this. And honestly, by going this route, he allowed me to impact a lot more people and serve others, which I believe is the gift that he gave me. So I'm gonna go with that. I want to thank my kids. Devon and Sierra. I said it in reverse, Sierra's the oldest, but Devon and Sierra because I'm looking at them. They've been through a lot like other military children, all the moves, the parents missing important events, but they have endured through all that and grown to be productive citizens in our society and you know, doing the things that we want to see our kids do. So I truly am very proud of you two. I hate not being able to see you every day. This is one of the biggest things with my transition from the Army and them getting older and moving out on their own objective. So I love you guys and I appreciate you making this trip to come join me today. Today is, you know, everybody says today's our day. Today's your day. Today's not about me. Today is about my parents and what they instilled in me. Today is about the village that helped raise me as a child. Today is about the leaders who invested their time in me along my journey. Today is about the soldiers who busted their behinds for me and worked with me and dealt with me on some tough occasions. Today is about the friends that I've established along the way and those long-lasting friendships and those who have become family along the way. I am very honored and humbled and filled with a whole bunch of gratitude for this opportunity, and I do not take this lightly of representing our Corps in this fashion. There are a couple names that I want to mention that helped me along this journey, but first of all, I want to thank each and every one of you in this room because there are going to be some names that I will not mention, and that's just because the people before me used a little bit of my time. So I joined the Army as a combat engineer in 1989. And I arrived at my first duty station, and my first leader that I encountered was a gentleman by the name of Sergeant Jeffrey Smith. And when you look at this guy, he had tattoos everywhere. He was a focused, very mean combat arms non-commissioned officer. And you know, some people told me, "Hey, man, you're going to a rough squad. You better be careful. You better take care of yourself." And you know, I'm the type of person that I develop my own, you know, perception of people. I don't just go by what people tell me. So I met with this individual, and he shared some very personal stuff with me about his upbringing and some things that he done in his life, and I won't share that right now. But what I can tell you is that was probably one of the best first-line leaders that I've ever had in my career. You talk about people giving people a chance, and those of you that have heard me speak before, I talk about giving others a chance a lot. And the reason why I talk about that is because people gave me a chance. If it wasn't for Sergeant Jeffrey Smith, there would be no Command Sergeant Major Wardell Jefferson. I was a problem child, just to be frank. I would go home on the weekends. My goal was to get away from home and travel. Well, my first duty station was 6 hours from home. So the little bit of paycheck I was getting a flight every weekend to go home because I was homesick. And in true fashion, on Monday morning, I'd be calling to the CQ desk. I need to talk to Sergeant Smith because I missed my flight on Sunday and I won't make it back today. And when I got back, of course, you know, there was a little smoke waiting for me because that's what they did back then. But Sergeant Smith always had my back. And after doing this several times, you know, what happens, UCMJ, right? And the commander and the first sergeant, they used to really want to put it to me, and the platoon sergeant, but Sergeant Smith was always right there fighting me, regardless of how many times I let him down. He fought, and he fought, and he fought. And that stuck right here. And I always said, if I get the opportunity to do that for somebody, I will do that. So Sergeant Smith is the reason why I'm here today. The next one, after my first 4 years, I transitioned to the greatest corps in the Army, the AG Corps. And I haven't said who, you know, I've been trying hard not to say who. Can you imagine being at a meeting in corporate America and you say, hey, we need to get this done by Friday, who? What are they gonna do? But anyway, so I arrived at 7th Army, actually, no, Fort Benning, Georgia. I go to Fort Benning, Georgia, and I ran into, at the time, Staff Sergeant Billy Blackman. And although we weren't in the same organization, his presence on the installation of then Fort Benning was felt. And he took the time and invested in any 42 Alpha or AG soldier at the time that he can invest in. And I just happened to be lucky enough to be one of them. And that relationship is carried on to today. And so I really want to thank you for that. After leaving Fort Benning, I went over to 7th Army Training Center, and this is when I had the pleasure of running into Michelle Richardson, Sergeant First Class at the time, and I worked for her, and the first thing she did is she sat me down. She said, I realize you just reclassed, and I know you went to Fort Benning as your first duty assignment, but you only did a couple things there. Here, you're gonna do everything in the G1. You're gonna learn it, and you're gonna rotate from section to section, job to job, until I feel that you're competent enough to go out there and run a G1 office by yourself. And she stuck to that, and she was tough on me, you know, firm but fair, you know, and I definitely appreciate that. Then moving on, this one was not a AG story, but this is when I made the E8 list, the Master Sergeant list, and I was in Alaska. And I was calling branch looking for a job, and they didn't really have a job for me at the time, and I wanted to be a first sergeant. All I could think about at that time was leading soldiers, because that's what we did. I wasn't really into the, you know, I want to go out and be in HR operations or something and lead AG soldiers, which, you know, as I matured more, I understood the importance of that. But I took my son to go get a haircut, and I ran into the commandant of the NCO Academy, and his name was Ronnie Garrett. He's an aviation guy, and you would think he's infantry if you met him. And he said, congratulations, what's your plans? And I said, I'm looking for a first sergeant job, and I can't really find one. He said, really? He said, I'm looking for a first sergeant. He said, I need you to go set up a meeting with Command Sergeant Major Ralph Beam and tell him you want the job. So at the time, I was the president of the Audie Murphy Club, and I had a lot of interaction with Sergeant Major Beam. So I got on his calendar, and I went to his office, and I walked in, and he said, I know what you're here for. Do you want the job? And I said, yes, that's the only reason why I'm here. He said, you got the job. You and Ronnie Garrett work out when you're going to report. But this, Ronnie Garrett, I'm telling you, family, mission, and the soldiers within his organization. He was very tough, but if you were on his team, he took care of you. And so I took that from him, as well as these other leaders, and continued that on throughout my journey, and I still do that today. And then the last one, you guys all know him, General Tom Siemens. He gave me my shot as being a nominative Sergeant Major, Command Sergeant Major of HRC. And we talk about putting humans at the center, people first. And if you don't do that, and you spend any amount of time with General Siemens, believe me, you will start to do that. And I'm not saying that I didn't do that before, but General Siemens couldn't make it today, and I sent a text back to him, and I told him, I said, you made me a better person. You did. And I truly believe in that. So, with that, and talking about others, humans at the center, I'm gonna I just want to talk about a couple things that we all should know, but this is near and dear to my heart, and I never miss an opportunity to talk about it. Serving others, and those of you that are new to this AG Corps, new to this profession, and those of you that aren't, you know, you've been in it for a while, you need to take this to heart. One of the things that I've always done is anything that I'm doing for others, I act like I'm doing it for myself. And if you act like you're doing it for yourself, you're going to put your heart into it. and they expect you to put your heart into it. So focus on doing that. Grow intentionally every day. You know, we know our weaknesses, and believe me, you're not hiding your weaknesses. Everyone knows our weaknesses if they spend any time with you. Intentionally go after growing yourself and work on those weaknesses, as well as continue to build your strengths. That's been my roadmap, and that's kind of been what I've done to continue to make myself stronger each and every day. Don't hold back information. There's a lot of people that know stuff and they don't want to share it with anyone because they're afraid of anyone getting to step up. That is not going to happen. You know, they may if you allow them, but the deal is we want to make the team stronger. It's not about me, it's not about I, it's about we. So you need to definitely focus on that. And then the last thing that I would just say, and it goes in line with that, is who can you bring up with you? Always look and see who you can develop, who you can mentor, invest the time in them, and bring them up with you. I'm looking throughout the crowd. I've talked to people before this ceremony. There's a lot of people that I have invested time in, but also they've invested time in me, and that's what it's all about. We want the team to be great. We want the AG profession to be great, and the only way we can be great is if we help our weakest link be great as well. So take that to heart. I want to thank my friends. Mark, you just caught my eye. I work in, I'm working with Ernst & Young right now doing some consulting, and we just got a new, I just got a new colleague. He's only been here about a month, and he found out about this Hall of Fame. You know, I tried to keep it quiet, but people found out, and then he finds out, and he asked me about it one night, and so I explained it to him, and he says, I'm coming. And I'm like, you're going to spend money to come to a ceremony that's going to just be, a ceremony and it's over. And he said, no, I'm coming. But that right there is service to others, serving others. He thought enough of me to come spend time with us and share this day with me and my family. So I definitely thank you for it. And then last but not least, my wife, Stephanie, thank you for your support and everything, and continue to push me today in the vision that I have for this chapter of my life as far as corporate America and things that I want to do outside the Army. And to the team here, thank you all for putting this on. The work that you guys do is just truly amazing, and it doesn't go unnoticed, so I appreciate it. And lastly but not least, congratulations to my classmates, and just look forward to spending some time with everybody at the ball tonight, and to all of you still serving, whether you're in uniform or in a suit, continue to do great things. Continue to invest and care about the soldiers, the families, and the organizations out there that we're charged with supporting. And I thank you. Defend and serve.
Before we close the ceremony, I want to take a moment to thank somebody I met in the summer of 1995 when Fort Harrison relocated to Fort Jackson. Several of the inductees have already commented on him today, but this event doesn't happen without Ward. Ward, stand up. Ward's getting ready to retire. 40 years of combined service, so maybe they'll finally fire me. Ladies and gentlemen, please stand for the playing of the Army Song.